It's okay. All right. Uh, you can start.
Good evening, everybody. So, not falling asleep yet? Everybody inspired the entire day? This is, I think, the last presentation of today, but also in the last 4 days. So tomorrow it's only contributing. I hope your brain is still working all right. Take a sip of water, breathe in some oxygen because we're going to blow your minds away. Today we're going to talk about Layout Builder, but not just Layout Builder Core because there are some things that we improved on it, and this is the second introduction slide.
Yes.
I'm Frederik Wouters. I work for Dropsolid as an enterprise architect. This is my coworker Wesley. It says solution architect, but we're doing much similar things. We work for Dropsolid. Dropsolid, you might have already seen it today. Sponsor of the event, also active in Europe in multiple countries. We have partners in Germany, Switzerland, Holland, the Netherlands, excuse me. We are based in multiple continents, large Belgian, but also international customers. And we have been growing very fast in the last 8 years. With, I think it says 50 people or 80 people, but we're nearing 100 at the moment. Very interesting employer. We have some open jobs if you're interested. Today, this is a spoiler alert. We're going to talk about Layout Builder. It's good. We did some UX research. We improved on it, and there's going to be some live demonstrations on the improvements that we did. After the live demos, some cool things that are in there, and content staging, which is also an interesting topic when talking about Layout Builder. At Dropsolid, we also contribute. It's important for us, not only sponsoring events, but also working on these things as well. And Rocketship, which we will talk about, is also open source. So you can try the demo that you will see later on your computer, at home, wherever. You can do all this. The code that we will demo is available on Drupal.org. We also work on digital experience management, which is not which doesn't only consist from a content management system. Drupal is our main focus today, but it also consists of marketing automation and a customer data platform. This is for Dropsolid also a goal to combine these very nicely together to give the customers and their customers a nice personalized digital experience. If you're interested in personalization, talk to me after the presentation. It's my thing, you know. We don't only do digital experience management and Drupal, we also do consulting, we also do the design, the strategy for the companies and all that stuff. So if you're interested in that, also talk to me. Layout Builder is very new, but you can't talk about new things without taking the old things into account. So you cannot look at the future without looking at the past, as some famous person once said. This is the history, but let's see, this is the timeline of Drupal. Drupal started in around 2000 and is older than WordPress, Android, HTML5, YouTube, Facebook, Composer and everything. So there's some concepts. This slide, you might know it from Dries, one of Dries's presentation. I added the Drupal versions on top. So you see that there has been some large increments. And in the past, it used to be that for every major Drupal version, there was a big rewrite where lots of things broke and you had to start over again. And this is changing in recent versions. But what I want to say with this slide is that the important concepts, the good stuff, stayed in core. And yeah, Layout Builder is new, so let's see what is that stuff that was in core and might be interesting for you and how it evolved into Layout Builder. Wesley, I think up to you.
My clicker isn't working. I'll go over there. So for those of you who remember the early days of Drupal, there was only structured fields, but not only for those of you who remember the early days, we still have structured fields, and we call it here structured field, and it's basically just a content type, like an event here, with a title field, a description field, some custom fields, and a date field. That's a basic concept, and it's that good that 20 years on, we still use it in that exact same way. However, more recently, we added paragraphs. I'm pretty sure most of you have used paragraphs, since we are at the developer conference. So it was basically an extra field where all your paragraphs were in. Don't think I need to explain that anymore. Here you have a list of all the paragraph types we used to use at Dropsolid. I'm aware you cannot read it. It doesn't matter. It's just the fact that it's a long list. Things like text, FAQ, what else? Photo galleries. We built all kind of paragraphs, and we were able to build quite nice pages. But it also had its limitations, obviously. So yeah, screenshot of paragraphs. I think you're all aware how this used to work, or still works. Actually, it still works. That's not an issue. And then we evolved, and I still remember the keynote of Dries where he proudly announced the quick edit feature and how it would work, and that it went into core, and it allowed inline editing, and it's introduced like a whole new way of editing contents. However, more recently, it actually went out of core, and there's a reason for that. Although it is nice, it looks nice, it didn't really do what it was supposed to do. I mean, you still had to use some other way of editing your page, so this is not really the way of doing content editing these days. And also, it was never really finished. I think it never really got to its full potential. So as of Drupal 10, it will no longer be in core. It will be available as a content module though. Then we have WordPress style inline editing. Does anybody in the room know what I mean by that? I thought so. So I'll do a quick demo of that. It's called Drupal Gutenberg. Gutenberg is a thing that was built in WordPress, if I'm correct. Sorry for it.
I think in JavaScript, but for WordPress. I'm not
Okay, yeah,
completely sure there, but that's it, I think.
Yeah. So this one really allowed you to like do inline editing like we did with quick edit, but then some more stuff. But it never really got started, and I think the problem here is that it's the data in here is stored very unstructured. Something you want to say about that?
Yeah, so it's a JavaScript editor put on top of one field, and it's maybe like condescending terminology, but it shits all the HTML into this field. So it's not a structured way of saving the content there. And this is, of course, the wet dream for editors because they can edit inline. They love this kind of medium style editing, but it's you cannot do structured things with that. We, of course, want both. We want like gorgeous inline editing and structured data and views and fields and things in there. So that's the holy grail that we were looking for.
Yeah. So some other things, and these are actually all the same things that why quick edit is no longer or is no longer going to be in core in Drupal 10 is because it doesn't really work with moderation workflows. If you want to like add a draft state or something like that, multilingual stuff is also very difficult with it, and you also have a very limited reuse of content, and like Frederick said, it's quite unstructured as well, and it's usually used for more block style website like WordPress. And then we come to Layout Builder. More of the same structure. We at Dropsolid we actually call it structure and metadata. I'll show you why in a minute. And then we have also page building. And page building consists out of sections, and sections consist out of content blocks. And this is a more visual way of showing this. Like you can think of the sections as horizontal bars, what we used to do in paragraphs, but now they can consist out of multiple blocks.
I think in WordPress sometimes it's also called lanes, like lanes.
True. So yeah, that's the basic idea behind a layout builder. So you add a section, you can choose how many columns you have, and then you can add a block to it. However, this does mean that blocks aren't just blocks anymore, because I was talking about blocks, but what I actually meant was inline blocks, and we also still have the classic blocks in Drupal, like they still exist. Like you use your, I don't know, header, footer, and they still exist as well. So the context is only by the difference is only by the context, and I think you can see it here. Classic blocks are reusable on every page you want. You can just add one, using the structure blocks page, and while inline blocks, they are not reusable. You just add them to a page and they only live there.
And this is the interesting part, because this is the marriage of one-off content stuff and reusable content stuff. They're both blocks, and in your layout, you can combine your structured blocks that are structured things that you code in there, or what editors create, like a one-off image field, and it's a block. It's a it's an inline block, not reusable, but it's combinable with all the other blocks in the interface. So this is the marriage. It's like, because it's all blocks.
Yeah, and my demo later, I'll show where I use the inline blocks, and also I'll show an example of a classic block that is reused across different pages. So we have layout builder and core. It looks like that. I'm not sure if I have the demo ready for this one. Let's see if I'm logged in.
And the typical challenge that I ask is, if you give someone a content type that has layout builder enabled, try to add an image to it, and they will not find their way. So this is a problem, because I don't think it's very user-friendly from the start. But you see here on the right, there is a bar that opens, and then you see all these like metadata fields from your system that you can add into it. But what you need to do is create a custom block, and this is the custom things, and there's only the HTML block that you can add, like a typical custom block that you used to have. But yeah, okay, so this is a limitation. This is not very user-friendly, and this is where we worked on to improve it. But this is how you do it with Drupal core out of the box, not blocks. Yeah, out of the box.
All right. So yeah, then this happened. You want to do this?
Yes. So as you saw in the previous slide, because this in core it isn't very user friendly, people started working with it, but they did a good thing in core. It's provided as an API, and you can start improving on it, and this is the good stuff. So that's why it's actually good. It isn't good, but it's good. And people started working on it as we did. So there's layout components, layout paragraphs, Bootstrap layout builder. You see here, this is a visualization of paragraphs used in layouts. So this is perfectly usable, and it's also in contrib, so not in core. You have layout components, also a module where you can use these things in layout builder. There's a Bootstrap layout builder by my friend from ImageX Media, which is a improved version with Bootstrap. And then, of course, as you do with standards, if there are 14 competing layout builder styles, then we need to create our own layout builder style. So now there are 15 layout builder styles. So this is how Rocketship was created, which you can see at this URL on drupal.org. I'm just going on here.
Yeah, go.
And a colleague of us, Ines, she did some UX research. So she gave the interface that we were building to some really inexperienced Drupal users. And we started iterating and improving on it. Like, can you create contents, create an image, put it on the front page? And this way we improved actually the interface so that it got really usable and nice to look at. And this is the moment where we go to the demo, I guess.
So you can already see it here a little bit in the background. But I'll actually do the actual demo. And you see here, I put in the top corner that it's a sales pitch, and it's not a sales pitch as in I want to sell you something, but this is how, as part of my job at Dropsolid, I often have to present Drupal and convince them that Drupal is a valid tool for them, that it is user friendly for them, and this is how I do it. And that's the reason why it's called the sales pitch here. So let me switch to my demo browser. So what I did is, and that's what I usually do with our potential clients, I just pick a page on their current website. So I didn't really have a client for this one, so I just picked a page on Drupal Dev Days, and I picked this one, the one about the venue. So yeah, this is what is on there at the moment. I'm sure all of you have visited this page because
You are here.
you're here. It says how you have to get here. So you should have visited this page. Maybe you came with a friend. I don't know. So there's some images here, some stuff about how to come by public transport, some stuff on how to come by car. Here is some more info about that karting, and then
Did you add the YouTube video?
yes, I did at the view. No worries, no worries. And also some general info about Kent. Interesting info. I live in Kent, so I support it. To make sure, here's the YouTube video. To make sure that you don't have to wait that long, I already copied quite a lot of the content in here. And the first thing we changed here is instead of in core, it's called this tab is called edit, and we renamed it to structure and metadata. So if I click on it, well, it'll load a bit slow. Should go better in a second. So this is your general edit page, but for during that UX research, we found that it's way better to call it that, because that's what it is. You're only adding fields there. You're only adding metadata there. And then we have managed content. And if you look at the top here, you'll see that is the general layout builder page that we used to have in core, but we call it now the managed content. So let's add a section. You have already seen that, so you should already be familiar with it. I'll add a block with some text to it.
Oh. So the use case that I said, if you go into Drupal core in layout builder and you want to add an image, well, we've already been past that point that you press the plus icon and you see that you can add an inline image just like that. So it's really like,
I'll add an image in a second.
I can give it to a child of 6 years old and they will manage to insert the image on the front page.
So here I'll just add this text to it. I'll do something extra here. Like there's a link here. I'll edit that link in and just copy it and add that as a button.
Call to action.
Call to action, indeed.
What we did here is we added some custom block types with a lot of properties. For example, with a call to action with a link below, or you can scale the image like in the full page width or like broader than the page so that it jumps out of it a little bit. It's visually a little bit nicer. So there's some extras that we did in there.
So yeah, correct. And as you can see, I have that button here now. Nothing special actually, but let me add another section. Sorry, and I'll make it a 2 column section. We'll change it up a bit to like, I don't know, something like this, or maybe the other one. Something like this. This is fine. And I'll just drag this part over here and then do the image that Frederick likes.
Thank you.
And if all is well, I already added some images, and yeah, copyright and stuff like that. But I think it's fine, Peter. So
We didn't check this with the organization, but just before the session,
yeah,
we asked and it was okay. So.
yeah, but Peter is over there, so he's not complaining. So yeah, this is the basic stuff. Just adding some stuff. I mean, it's fairly easy. And think about it. This is me showing it to our client or potential clients. Like, this is better than just adding paragraphs.
If I'm the client, can I change the background color of this specific block that you added?
Yes, of course you can. And I'll show it in a minute because I have a special demo about that part as well. And but first, what I also did is created this part. And what I basically did is create an FAQ item and just, these are simple things. And this is not really related to layout builder. Actually, this is just a way of showing things. But because it's available, because the FAQ is available, and everybody thinks, oh, I can only put FAQ items in there. That's not the truth. But for selling Drupal to clients, it's way more important to see things like this because in a minute we'll see how it moves and how you can collapse the fields and things like that. And that's much more important to them than it is to us developers. And that's perfectly fine. I'll add another section here, but a 2-column, and I'll use this one for the car part because this one also had the YouTube video. And you see, if I try to, I should be able to move it, and that stuff doesn't really work. I'm working on a small screen as well. If I would do it at home, it would be better. So we changed this part as well, and to make it work on a, so you can select editability only, and then I can just much more easy move that block over there, especially if you have like a large image and you need to move it from one place to the other. This works very well.
So with this this editability, it shows you just the structure of the build of the page, and then with preview the.
Yeah, and this is the preview only, and core, this is just a checkbox, but this works a bit better actually. So I'll go back to editability and preview at the same time. And let me just save it. I mean, just so you can actually see what we have done for now. So I think it's a bit better than what is on the Drupal Dev Days page at the moment, but we can already, we can do a lot more. And first part is, yeah, let's just change the background here on this page. Let's make it blue. It's not just changing the background, as you can see, it's also changing the font color, so it's still readable. But we can do some other stuff as well here. So I can edit this one as well, and I'll make this a gray one. And the reason why I'm doing that gray one, because it shows that there's actually a block above that. It's called the simple header. But I can configure it, but all the other ones I can actually also delete, but I cannot delete that. And I'll show you how that works, how you can set it up as a developer later. But for now, I can just change that one, and I'll change the background to nothing at this one, or transparent actually. I can configure the block, but it cannot edit it.
Because you're an editor, I suppose.
Yes, because I'm logged in. I'm logged in as an editor. Another important tip: if you want to demo something to your client, make sure you log in as an editor and not as an admin, because the interface is way too busy. So what I did here very quickly is just added a subtitle to it. Let me see, what else could we do? Change this one. So yeah, I think
Very nice.
I think it's
Good
nicer.
Work. Good work.
The important part, it doesn't really matter if you think it's nicer or not. The important part is that it's very visual, and that's for our clients. We find that specifically important, and for our clients, they find it very. They find a big need that they need to have more control about their page, and that if I show them that you can change the background, but it still will be in your company colors. This is our demo website. It has some very specific colors, but yeah, the way this works and the way how we can really show to the client, well, you have total control of over this page while still maintaining things like I can show it over here, like you still have revisions, and meaning that you still have revisions also means that you still can add a workflow to it, so it's in draft and somebody has to approve it before it goes live. These are things that you cannot do with things like quick edit or these kind of things. So yeah, that was first part of the demo.
Did you like it already? Yes. Oof. Okay.
I didn't even break anything. No 500 errors. Next one is a question, and I'll explain it in a minute why I'm asking this question. And the thing is, do we still need content types? And I will show you a way why I'm thinking that could actually be a thing, that we won't need any different content types anymore. I have it here in another demo environment. I created the team page. I'm also logged in as an editor here, but I created a team page, and all these people here, you see here, they're all speakers at this conference from Dropsobot. But I forgot one. I don't know if he's here. No, he's not, but I'll add him anyway. His name is Nick. Some of you might know him. But the important part about this thing is that each of these users has an actual page. This one is for Frederick. But if you look, I only have one content type. So how do I do that? As a page description, I'm gonna write his official title. He's a CTO at our company. I don't have a I thought I had a picture of him, maybe. Yeah, here I have a picture of him. Forgot to upload it. So this is just the default image. That's just a field on the content tab page. Okay, now we have the page. It's still empty. We'll work on that later. If you manage the content of this page, this is just a section on the top, 2 columns, nothing special. Here's a section with 1 column. I'll edit that one. And here's a block. We call it related items. It's not the best name, but it works. And I can just reference any other page to it. And what it does is just allows us to add a reference to Nick's page. I'll put him on top because he is our CEO. There he is. And let's just save the content, and we're basically done.
This is to prove his point that you wouldn't need content types anymore. Of course, this is just a bit of controversial. You might still want to do this with your custom content types and add views in there and like create your own structures. But it's just to show that it's really powerful, and it allows you to create structures with this way of layout builder that you couldn't do before with paragraphs, or it was much harder at least.
Yeah.
Yes, it's using a display mode. Yes. That's something that you could, for example, also add to this block type. But for the moment, I think we're just using the teaser one.
Yeah.
So there you have the power as a developer to choose these kind of things.
Let's go back to Nick, because his page is still empty. But if you look at our other team members, they have like a kind of structure, a default structure here, and we did that just using a layout builder library. And as you can see, I have a team member here, and I can just add it and then change the image and change the text. That's something the editor would do then, obviously. And then we would be there. And if I go to a page where I'm logged in as an admin, and let me find a page here. Yeah, just go with this one. here, now that I'm logged in as an admin, but you could do this for as just any role that you want. There's a button here, add to library, and it's basically that. I give it a label and add section, and it's in our library. Now the important thing here is this is truly just a library. Every time you select it, you make a copy. It's not like if you change the things in your library that it will change over all the other pages. That's not how this works. But it does allow, if you have like a more tech savvy user, he can just,
Or
she obviously, um, uh, he can create these kind of sections and add them to the library so other people in the organization can use it or reuse it, and you can even do it for the entire page. So this,
So with one content type page, you can have in your library as many layouts, types, or templates as you want, and this way allow the editors full control on how they build pages and how they even manage their like templates and whatever.
I also have a slide about that, but I remember that I forgot something in my previous demo. I did not show you how to reuse blocks, because if you look at the venue here, all the way at the bottom, there's the call for papers from DrupalCon Prague. Anybody going to DrupalCon Prague? Yay.
Of course.
We'll also be there. Not sure with this session, but maybe. So if we let me go to the blocks library. This is default Drupal. This is just the custom block library. It already exists, and here you can actually already see where we create our blocks. These are just block types, and the thing that I created this one with is just an image. I named it something, added the image. It's this one here. I'm not gonna do it because I already prepared it. It's already here. And here's the important part. If you go back to our page, and in the original page, it's all the way at the bottom, so I'll do that as well. I'll add the section. And here, instead of an inline block, I'll just reuse this block, which you then can use on any block, as any block on any page.
And in your template, so that every page automatically gets this block in the bottom.
Yeah.
If you are following along.
However, on the current Drupal dev site, this is on every page, and you're just using block structure kind of way of doing this, and you should keep doing that if that's what you want. But if you want to give your editor the possibility to just move this block to, I don't know, maybe over here. That's not the best place, but it's fine. I mean, over here. Then you could do that, and usability wise, this is not the best way. It looks more like an ad this way, but anyway, it allows you to use blocks that are just the inline blocks that are not reusable, but you can also use blocks that are not this, and you can just reuse them over your entire page, and the combination of all these things creates for a very, very powerful user editing experience. Right. Let's go back to the slides. We already did the demo. So do we still need content types? Of course we do. This, what I showed you is no substitution for content types. You're still gonna need them. However, we feel that Drupal is evolving. Like Frederik showed in the slides, we're already existing for 20 years, and even we at Dropsolid, we noticed this as well. We used to do like smaller clients for smaller kind of projects, but lately we have been doing, the last couple of years actually, we have been doing these kind of projects for huge companies which have like 20 or 30 content editors, and they cannot send us a support request for everything they want to change. And yeah, that's what Frederik was also saying, and what it's saying here is it allows for a more high level content editor to do a lot more, and to be able to have a lot more control over the website while still being able to work in these revisions and all the other things. Does it work in production? That's something for you.
Yeah. So, yeah, does it work in production? Yes, it does. So we put it in production for a very large Belgian company, and just asked. I asked the editors and the developer El Van Damme. I don't know if he's here. Not today, I
No, he's
suppose.
not.
I asked him and like, how did you implement it? And he said, okay, we dumbed it down a little bit because the interface that we showed you is very powerful, but they stripped some parts left and right, so that it's really like monkey proof for the editors. And from the developer point of view, it was familiar but only better. And from the editor point of view, they say, okay, we came from WYSIWYG, we have no complaints, we are now a fan of Layout Builder. It's very easy and intuitive. So this is like actual editors using it in production, and they're really like happy using it. And it was even strange for the developers because they said, yeah, it was strange. We received no complaints, and we had to like actually ask them if it was working well, and they said, yes, it works. So that we're not used to that in Drupal, right? There's been some it's been a long way. Let's keep it at that. Is there more? Yes. There's 10 minutes more.
Okay.
So there's some more stuff we need to go through.
We can do this quickly, I think. So what I'll do is just put some slides on here regarding what models we used to get this experience. First one is Layout Builder Modal. That just puts everything in a modal, so it's not on the side and not very visual. Something else. The operations link, so in content, your content list that you can directly go to the layout, helps users a lot to navigate. Layout Builder lock, that's the thing I showed you where you could not edit the top side. So as an admin, you could, or whatever, you could lock quite a few items, so you can make a template that they start from, and then say, oh, this top one, you cannot remove that section. So that's what this module does. Here's some more example on how that works.
These are the settings that they use for headers and footers to lock them for editors, for example.
Yeah, here's an actual example on how that works. Section library, that's the last thing I showed, where you could just add a section to the library, or actually an entire page. That works as well.
As you see here as well, you can add an image to your template so that the editor knows like how their specific template looks in the library, and this makes it really easy to use.
Yeah, and even for the people managing the website, this is easy. You can just make a screenshot and just upload it, and it's done. It's not like you need to code anything or something. So that's how this looks.
We explain this part as well. Huh?
Yeah, demo that part. For the developers, well,
yes,
important.
So, yeah, as it's working with blocks, yeah, all things that you know with blocks apply. So you can do everything that you used to know with blocks. It's still applying. Yeah? So I'm not going to go over that because there's too much there. But yeah, it's working with blocks, and you know this stuff. There's one thing that because you're using a layout per node, so every node has its own layout. If you want to like do an override on all these nodes, then you'll have to write a migration. And as you can see in the code here, like load every node or entity, loop over them. They have a field, and then if you loop over the sections, because every node has multiple sections, then you will need to find the blocks in this section. If you want to do a content migration, changing the layout of a node will be a content migration. So this is like something that you need to be aware of in the future. If you do it like this, you will probably need to write a content migration if you want to change the structure code-wise. And last but not least, content staging, also important. One of the developers at Dropsolid, Alexander, I believe, created a module from the Ukraine.
From the Ukraine.
Yes.
Still working.
He created a module to allow synchronizing these layouts, this content from one side to another. So this allows you to very easily export this and save it to your code base, for example, to write a migration then, and to allow your content to flow through versions or silos or whatever, how you want to work with it. As you see, it exports to YAML and you can import it. And this allows even a developer to create some layouts and content for a specific content type and contribute it to the module, and it will flow to all environments, or maybe a flow that you say export on staging and import on production. So there, with this thing, you can work with it and work with it. This is how it looks. So it's very simple. You have a YAML export file and layout builder layout. This is like a very, it's all in there. It's non-readable at the moment. They're working on it. And to import this is how it looks in code. So for this could be, for example, on a deployment or in a migrate flow where you load the YAML file, import from file, and then this content is available in your site.
Yeah, one place where we're using this is like in our own Rocket Ship and our own install profile to just create the default blocks. So we don't have to start with empty pages as well. So this would be perfect to use.
As you see on top here, you could do manual import. It's packaged in the module. So package your content or your layouts in the module. Do it via an update hook or via drush commands. These are just ways to use this importing. Does it work with personalization? This is because at Dropsolid we do personalization, and yes, it's like it ties very neatly into the personalization things that we do at Dropsolid. But I think we don't have enough time to cover
Unfortunately that. Not, but
no, in a demo.
Go to Fredrik if you want a personal demo, which is a cool thing for personalization.
If you want to get started, Dropsolid Rocket Ship is the place to be. Don't hesitate to ask some questions or make some issues in the issue queue if you find any. We're really using this in production, so the code there should be working and stable. And if you find anything, please let us know. Does it have issues? Of course it has issues. There are some dependencies there. Nesting of sections was very hard. Multi-language, we are using asymmetric translations. Content staging was recently solved, so no problems there anymore. And you need to do a migration, which is a thought that you might think of. What I personally also think as a limitation is that the Rocket Ship team is also dependent on some of the modules in the install profile, so there might be some improvements possible there. And I think this is the main things that we wanted to handle here.
Yeah, I became the product owner a couple of weeks ago at Dropsolid for Rocket Ship, so I'll probably be handling this in the next couple of months.
Okay. We did need to apply some core patches, but as you can see, it's all on Drupal.org. And we want to thank our sponsor for the time that we get here to present this. And I really hope that some of you get to test this module and give it a run and let us know what you think of it. Are we doing questions?
Yeah.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Let's start. First question. Yes. Here in front. Yeah. 1 minute. Quick one.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you for the nice talk and the demo. And we only have seen it on big devices. How does it work on small devices? Is it responsive? Can I control it as an editor, the columns and stuff like this?
Yeah, it's fully responsible. Not responsible, responsive, and because it's just it just puts things in diffs and in sections. So I didn't show it in the but it definitely works fully responsive. It's obviously a requirement for our clients as well.
Okay. Ooh.
Okay, it's probably gonna have to be the last question. Sorry.
Yeah,
just go for it.
I had a question about the layout templates. Is there a way to export those too, or is it only living in production?
Do you mean like
Yeah, you showed how you named the template.
No, those only live in the database. However, you can still make your templates for your content types, and those exist in your config. So if you have like the default one, like where we had the header and the breadcrumbs, those are just in config. So you can just use those. The templates, not maybe in the future. I don't know. We did not build that module, so. Not entirely sure about that one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think that will have to be all because we have the closing session.
We had one more question, and they're still doing stuff here. So let's. They're ready. I'm sorry. We'll talk after the presentation.
Yes, about reusable blocks. Okay, you show in your demonstration when you have a few number of reusable blocks, but when, I don't know, the client has like 100 reusable blocks, is it possible to search among those, or how the UI is likely?
You muted the wrong mic. Yeah, you can definitely do that. It's just a view, and that's just stuff from core. So you could just add a filter to that. So that would definitely be possible with some custom code.
Thank you very much.
I will definitely stop. Thank you.